G'day, Brian here. It's Saturday in Australia, Saturday evening. Had a great day. And so it's day 4 of publishing. There's only 361 days to go. It's not a leap year next year. I think we're good. Is there Olympics next year? I don't know. 2020. Yeah, there'll be Olympics next year. 362 days. We get an extra day. Leap year, Olympics. Okay, that's how you remember. Olympics happen in leap years. So we're talking, I'm talking to you, I'm getting to know you, getting to know me, I'm telling you more about me, I'm telling you about my story, my journey of life. The reason why one of the reasons why I chose to be a chiropractor. And, why, if it took you till you were 40 to do anything, why did it take so long? What was the reason that it took that long to get things happening? And we'll have to go back a little way because often those reasons start quite young. So one of the therapies I use is neuro-emotional technique, which is a chiropractic technique developed by Scott Walker. He's a magnificent guy, just amazing. And so, the emotions create our behaviours and choices, and a lot of the pivotal moments happen around 8 to 10. So, that's a point at which you begin to develop your view of the world. So I had a view of the world and it was all pretty good and I was a happy young man. And I am more than often happy. However, what's interesting is to realise as you move into your teens that everything isn't quite right in Texas, that you're not quite wired the same as everyone else. And that can be a little bit confronting and confounding. And then you discover that that's just not okay. So, being gay is wrong, and I was pretty clearly told that by everyone around me. So what's interesting is you then just put that to one side and imagine that you'll live a normal life. By that, wife, 2 children, or 4 or 6, or whatever the go is, and be a provider and the leader of the pack. And that is the most magnificent and wonderful calling in life. I really admire the people that do that. So I have no beef with people that choose to provide the next generation of wonderful people to help the world grow and expand. So, however, back to me. It's all about me today. So in that effort to fall into that model, I had the usual sort of experiences, and later, because it wasn't an overwhelming desire, there was no rush. In fact, there was quite a bit of sort of lean back from it because it felt I wasn't drawn to it. I do recall there were a few events with young women, and I feel a bit bad about that in some ways, because I did contract law when I was at uni the first time, and to use a contract law term, it was quite clearly specific non-performance, which in contract law means you didn't remotely do what you said you were going to do. So that's the nicest way I can talk about it on a family show. So it's quite interesting how much energy you dissipate in keeping your most inner feelings private and trying to not reveal them to the world, and how much you do mental gymnastics with yourself so that you can convince yourself that you're walking a path of normality and acceptability. But what that does mean is I guess I didn't believe that there were many things that I was up to. As I mentioned before, I didn't do wildly well at school, and I was probably more aware of what I wasn't doing right rather than what I was doing right, and maybe that's a bleed across from that fundamental concept of cross-wiring. It is what it is. Could be cross-wired, could be not, but however, your body just lets you know where you want to go. Anyhow, I I think for that reason, I sort of stumbled through a number of careers that were really, you could say, were quite formative, and none of them were bad per se, but I was never working at the upper limit of my capability. It was all well within my stride, and I often took on quite new things, but it would be something fairly straightforward, like run a petrol station. You can sort of get that sorted and under your belt in a few weeks. And I ran hotels and did various things, and again it was fun, but it was not the sort of thing that really sort of stretched me. So, and I was good at it, which is, you know, a feedback loop that's quite helpful, but at the same time you know that you're really not sort of pushing yourself to the edge of the fabric, and there's no real stretch or strain. However, when I came to terms with who I was, and that actually took quite some time, and it was some years before I could even sort of utter the words to myself, and then longer to tell other people. And, you know, when I did, Mum said, who's influenced you? Who's tricked you around this? And that's sort of quite insulting, and really a level saying you're pretty weak-minded, and there's no way that you could possibly come to this decision on your own without somebody else leading you down the path. So when, and the respect around that, because I had a great relationship, she was a magnificent woman, was that we agreed that our opinions were to be respected, and she had a particular view based on her Catholicism that it was not okay, and I had no right to ask her to change that view. She could accept me as I was, but I didn't have any right to ask her to compromise her principles any more than she could ask me to compromise mine. And I think that's quite an appropriate attitude. My father had gone to God, so he wasn't there for a comment, but on one level he may not have understood it, but I do believe he would respect an honest opinion held honestly and truly. So if we fast forward, and I now begin to believe that I could do something that I previously thought was impossible, because a bit like a body, when you put it in gravity and give it symmetry and strength and stability, energy is released to do other stuff. So the body will actually now heal and redirect its resources. So when you stop wasting energy trying to pretend you're someone else, you can now begin to stretch yourself into areas where you previously thought were not possible. So I went to university, and this time I did okay. I wasn't the top of the class, but I certainly wasn't the person they were sort of putting in through on conceded passes, except for the dreadful chemistry. And so as I move through, and I'm in practice, and I'm loving what I'm doing, and then as an associate, I joined the company. I bought a partnership into the company, and then when Sue Ellen was sort of pretty focused on her software for health delivery, I bought the whole shebang, and that actually has really challenged me on a whole other level, because now I'm really exposing my weaknesses, because every organisation is amplified from the top down. So if I'm actually got problems, they become really apparent within the company, and it's really amplified 100-fold. So when you're on your own, you can kind of cover it, but when you're the leader, it just gets amplified out into the organisation. So for me, it's quite a big challenge, and I'm in this challenge of the broadcasting in the one funnel way, and the new me, and doing a number of things simultaneously that are all about kicking down the door and really just stepping out and being me at my best in all areas, and that will create the practice that I want, which is somewhere where people can come, be honoured as an individual and heard and given the very best of care that's available without drugs and surgery. What a shame. Drugs are fun. So that's the goal, that's the process, and we're in that process. So it's development and growth is never ending, and every time you think you've achieved a pinnacle, you look forward and see that there's actually another one beyond it, and there's a valley and another hill in between. And so I am at one peak realising that the future is down a valley and up another really steep incline, and it's going to be extremely exciting, challenging and rewarding to walk that journey. So stay on board. We're going to talk about it as we move along, and I'm looking forward to telling you about my story and my success. 10 minutes, ding, time's up. So I'll speak to you tomorrow, and another 360, 2 days to go. Okay, all the best. Bye.